Hello, everybody. Happy to have you on. It's a special day today. I have a very special lady with me today, Miss Tara Packer. I am very, very stoked to have her here with me today. I met Tara through the law of attraction. We've been very inspirational for each other. We've collaborated back and forth with some very powerful treatments for our clients. And I'm just happy to have you here with us today. This is going to be special. Tara is a very talented lady, and I am very, very happy to have you here. As you know, I am Dean Brown, powerful dad, holistic life coach, digital online marketer, brother to those that know me, and friend to those that don't. I help dads be better dads, start and build a 6 and 7 figure business along the way, and just get you to the next level through the law of attraction with ease and flow. If you are here live, I'd love to hear any comments you might have. If you are showing up on the replay, I would be happy to send those on through to Tara, and just let us know where you're coming in from and what your thoughts might be as we go. So, Tara, I am happy to have you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to do this with you. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's amazing.
Very, very glad to have you here. So I'm going to get you to inspire the audience and share with us the story of what made you become who you are today. Who are you? What do you do? And what happened in your life to make you do what you do? Go for it.
Okay, so this is a very open-ended question. How much time do we have? No, I'm just
kidding. We have as much time as you want to take.
We're going back to childhood. Okay, well, I guess we are gonna start briefly with my mother is a clinical psychologist. And I feel like that's important to add in because I grew up in an atmosphere around, it was almost like, I don't know if your audience has been watching Big Bang Theory at all, but
some of them probably do, yeah.
Yeah, if you see Leonard Hofstadter's mother, I sort of feel like a version of that was my mother. So,
cool.
I was part of her PhD and guinea pig for life, I would say. Okay. So I guess maybe sort of primed in that way. And that's one thing that I want to bring up. But I was always somebody who always kind of walked to the beat of her own drum and very precocious when I was young. And I ended up, long story short, I ended up I could have gone on both sides of the brain. And initially, when I was very young, I thought I might go into neurology, actually. And instead, my mother had said to me, we were always interested in fashion. So if you want to do that, I'll pay for that education. If not, you're on your own. And I was very young at the time. So I said, okay, I'll do that. Uh-huh. So I ended up going to the Fashion Institute, and I ultimately ended up working in trend forecasting, providing creative design intelligence to the design community. Cool. And I really did enjoy that a lot. Met some amazing people and did it for quite some time. And in that, people always said, well, you know everybody, you should go into recruiting. And so I thought, well, I don't really want to work for another company. I'm not wired that way. So I eventually somebody said, oh, can you find a designer for me? I said, sure, if you pay me. And so that sort of led and opened the door for recruiting for me. And so I went down that path for a bit. It didn't take long until, because it was so personalized, my approach, and it became career coaching that turned into life coaching, because when you approach that, you can't do one without the other.
That's right.
And so for years, I did that. I ended up with a really interesting aha moment. So I went and I was working with a company, and I was doing all their hires, and I walked in one day, and one of the directors who I had placed there walked up to me in the morning and said, I just want you to know that I'm quitting at the end of the day. I've had it, I'm done, and I'm only telling you. I'm just going to walk into HR at the end of the day and never come back here again.
Right. There's a shock for you, eh?
Yeah. So that was like, and I was like, okay, so let's go into the office and let's have a little chat about this.
Yes, please.
So thank God he was open enough to do that. And so we walked into the office and I said, okay, like, where are you on a scale of 0 to 10 on this issue? Like, how triggered are you feeling right now? And she goes, oh, I'm at a 10 plus. I'm out of here. End of day. And I thought, okay. So we very quickly started working. One of the tools I use is tapping, which I discovered about 11 years ago. And I really like it because speed and simplicity.
Yeah.
And it gets you out of your head into your body. It gets you to recognize the emotions and be able to release them.
Yeah.
And so we started tapping and I started working with her. Within, I would say, 5 minutes, she went from a 10 to a 0, which means neutral.
Yes.
Yeah. And so she said, okay, neutral, ready to go back to work. No problem. I'm done.
Yes.
And I said, great. I said, so know that what we just did cleared up your issue with this particular person.
Yes.
And however, there's a root cause to this, and it will come up at some place in your life. It will represent in some other way.
Yes.
We didn't nail that in 5 minutes, but we did manage to get her back and on track. She's still working for that company. The person that she was giving her grief is now running the company. Nice. And she's still there 4 years later.
Yeah.
So I would say for me that I see that all day long. And I was exposed to that. And I thought, well, this is very powerful to be able to help a company in this way, more so than the recruiting.
Yes.
The recruiting gave me a great vision, a 360-degree vision of what was going on from the CEOs of the company and the owners of the company through the employees and all the way to, to the candidates.
Right through.
And I was trusted. And so I heard everyone's pain points.
Yeah.
And so I obviously could not share them, but what I could do is work with an individual to help get them outside of what was driving them in that particular mindset.
Absolutely.
And then have a new perception, make a shift, and be able to go on with their day. And so that was a strong indicator for me of a path to take. Cool. And I went with it. And to me, I created a program which now is basically, I call it the recalibration method. It falls under wellness category, and one of them is for employee wellness.
Cool.
And that is, doing like 30-minute emotional attunement sessions that you can access during the day, during your work day, within the, for that company. And then we can work through the issues. And, it could take 5 minutes. It could take, 30 minutes. It could, a lot happen in 30 minutes. But what it should happen is be able to get you back on track. And over time, get you the skills to be able to handle, manage your work, your situation, and to move forward unencumbered.
Cool.
And so
beautiful. Yeah. So that's awesome. So through all of that, I'm sure that you had a one lesson, one circumstance that stood out from the others. Can you share that your biggest lesson, or some people call it a failure that they turned into a lesson, but I don't think you ever recognize failure as something in your life. You always consider it a lesson or a stepping point. So can you share that with us? What would be your biggest thing in that journey?
Can you be a little more specific, like lesson for what?
Well, insofar as what was it that is your biggest driving point when you come to that awareness of how you help people? What's the biggest tool you use?
Okay, well, I guess we're gonna get bigger here, and we're gonna zoom out a little bit. Yeah. For me, my two highest values are emotional freedom and connection.
Cool.
And so if I can bring that that's my highest value and my greatest contribution. And so there was a moment actually when I was in a mastermind and I was in a breakout group with several others. And one person was not a coach in that group, but everybody else was. And one of the coaches practiced something called Reiki. And so the person who was not the coach said, well, are you practicing Reiki right now? And before she could answer, I heard in my head, of course she is. She can't turn it off. She can't stop it.
Yes.
And that was like, that was an aha moment for me, because I realized, oh, I've always shown up as a life coach. I may have alluded to different things for my entire life, that I've always been that person in all my interactions and relationships.
Cool.
Because I can't turn it off. It's always been there.
That is who you are. Yeah.
That was a very, that was just, I guess I would say probably more of an illuminating moment more than a stumble.
Okay.
Are you looking for a juicy stumble?
Well, sometimes our greatest strength comes from our greatest challenge, which would have been a circumstance where we weren't sure what our greatest strength was, and then we learned it by that stumble. So if you have something along those lines to share, by all means, go ahead.
I actually have an interesting story that I've used with people, and it's kind of powerful because I think everyone can relate to it.
Sure. And
there was a period of time where I was juggling the trend forecasting, the recruiting, and coming into the coaching. And it was a lot. And there was something had happened where my dog had passed away. Not my current dog, obviously. That's sitting on my lap right now. My previous French bulldog. And so he had passed away. And this dog meant a lot to me. He went to all my clients. He was, he went everywhere. He was an incredible dog. And he had passed away. And then I had to shortly thereafter jump on a plane, head to Seattle, work with a bunch of clients. And so I'm in Seattle, I'm doing that. And of course I have everything planned last minute. Go to this one, go to that one. I mean, so tight in the schedule. Yes. And there's one moment where I find myself in a lobby and I smell something, and it's a flower store, and I walk in and there's this lotion that smells amazing. And we're aware of how strong our senses are, right? And it just drew me to it. So I bought this bottle of lotion, and I go and I get, eventually get back to the airport, and I pack everything up, and I, box up certain things I'm carrying so there's not room for anything else. I carefully take the lotion and wrap it up like in a blanket or clothing or something, and I put it in my carry-on. And I'm, so careful to do that. But everything's at a rush. And I get to the line, and of course, security's like, excuse me, ma'am, do you know that you cannot take this on the plane? And all of a sudden it hit me. Giant crocodile tears are coming out of my eyes. And I'm shaking my head, yes, but my heart is, I'm so overwhelmed.
No.
So overwhelmed with, no. It's like my inner child was like, just a little something. Can I just have a little something right now? A really hard time. I really needed this. And it was like, it was calling for my attention. I'm standing there in silence with massive tears. And he's saying, are you okay? And I'm like, no, definitely not okay. I can barely talk. Now it's like a scene, right? There's all these people around me. And the interesting thing is he's really trying to help me, and everyone's trying to help me, but I can't do very much but move away eventually. So someone takes me someplace to sit down, and I need to cry all the tears that I can do all I can cry out until I can think again.
Yeah.
So I do that, and I figure out how to get the bottle shipped, which was possible, so that I could have a piece of something I really needed.
Yeah.
The only thing for myself that I allowed myself in all of that period, and what I didn't recognize for the inner child, and I could cry right now.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The inner child was saying, I just lost my dog.
Oh.
And so that was, I needed to embrace that.
Yeah.
Like I just kept moving after I gave myself a little grieving time.
Yeah.
Kept on with life. And that was a much bigger pull than I realized.
Right. Right.
And so I stood in Seattle SeaTac Airport, just a complete blubbering mess. And it really wasn't because of the lotion. That was just a trigger.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's not like, I can't say the word paralyzed, but I really was caught up in that. And I think that when we ignore those things, that's how it builds up and catches us by surprise.
Yes. Yeah.
And also, we can't figure out how to move out of that until we have the feeling.
That's right.
We acknowledge what's going on, till we recognize it. Then, because I was very clear, my executive functioning in my brain was not working.
It was all emotion. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all emotion. And I really had to go through that experience. And that was a very big wake-up call where I would say I had to redesign my life and ask what truly matters. And maybe that was, I think that was what it was, the driver for me that said, you're doing so many things right now. Pick a lane, and pick a lane that's going to work for you in every respect.
Cool. Very cool. So when you're dealing with a circumstance like that, where like a lot of people today, they are driven by emotion, they live their lives by emotion, or they live their lives burying emotion, and they don't realize that they have that inner potential to derail them or lock them in a lane, one or the other. What would be the advice that you would give someone in a case like that, where they're locked either away into their emotion or away from their emotion? And which would you suggest is the better way to go?
You know, that's a really good question. And I like the way that you actually just, the way that you explained that, because it really is that people they either bury it or they live by it, but it's two of the same. Some people aren't aware that they're living by emotion. They think they're hiding it. So they're hiding it from themselves, but it's coming out and everybody else is realizing it.
Yeah.
And everyone else could be the victim of some, if it's anger or certain things that are very overpowering. And I feel that the first thing to do, I think, in situations where, like, if you're losing control or you're becoming aware that you are losing control,
yes,
is to start breathing, is start regulating your breath.
Yeah.
It's to slow down, and it's to stop thinking, because that's not going to work anyway. We need to get into our body. And if you start breathing and you start slowing your breath and you start paying attention to the breath, you get into the body. And then the body is going to, you can't deny the emotions.
No.
But if you allow them to come up and you recognize them, it's 90 seconds to have that emotion.
Yes.
Versus spending 20 years burying it, or so
exactly.
And the relief of just acknowledging that emotion and having that emotion, and even be willing to look at, so this is what fear looks like or feels like in my body, or this is what frustration feels like, or this is what shock, like is.
Exactly.
So
Awesome. I like it. Now that kind of leads me. I have a strong belief in our emotions, our feelings, are what connects us to the communication with our spiritual self. For me, the spirit is always driving us or trying to guide us, maybe I should say, and it uses emotions to signal us whether we're on the right track or the wrong track. Could you speak to that?
yeah, I concur. It's a navigation or guidance system, and they let you know that there's something going on underneath. And I think for people to get more comfortable with their feelings, there's been a lot of, and this is probably one of the stands that I take, but this is why it's so near and dear to me, is like humanizing corporate America. Because feelings were not allowed in the workplace. And there was a lot of keep your feelings at home.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if they're really good motivating, we're happy to have those feelings there. Because feelings can be contagious too. And that's to sort of that level, like you were talking about in the spiritual realm, where the emotion actually has a vibrational level that is, we can pick it up from person to person.
Yes.
In the presence of, but there's a lot more. I don't want to get too crazy, but
that's okay.
Yeah, but the signal goes beyond even just being in the presence of another human. It's like the moment where you're thinking about somebody and then the phone rings and it's them calling you. So there's a lot of connection, but emotion is a great pathway into yourself and to look. It's a great tool to just question what's going on, what's underneath this emotion, because like you said, it is going to give you the clues.
That's right.
And if you understand what's coming up for you, and you can access it, you can work through it.
That's right.
You can see, oh, I have been suppressing this, and now this has been like a mantra running my life. Exactly. And the result of it is, first of all, it's not even true anymore. And second of all, the result is not anything that I'm interested in having in my life, in my world. So it's sort of a reprogram. And basically it does change. There's a lot of like neuroscience words, like one of them, neuroplasticity. And so what we've learned in the last 10 years is that you can change rewire your brain. It's not just your brain, it's your whole nervous system.
That's right.
So we are capable of doing that, but the emotion is that initial point of contact.
That initial beginning, right?
The beginning of where it is. Yeah.
Perfect. So to carry this a little further, we get into a place where we either recognize that that's the signal that allows us to grow and to be more, or we suppress that. What do you help when you experience people that are suppressing that? What is the biggest tool you use, or the biggest awareness that you try to get them to see to help them pass that?
Well, when I work with an individual, I work with, I'm very aware of what my energy is coming into the session. And so my energy needs to be like an open vessel for them so that they have the freedom to be. So there's no ego involved. There's no defensiveness. And I think that's very key, because if you're not triggered, then you have the freedom to be. So if we start from that point and I get them to start breathing, and then we'll do some tapping, because the tapping is a way of them getting into their body and accessing those emotions. Absolutely. And it's a way to get them to recognize they have those emotions. That's right. And then we move into, what's the message of the emotions? And then we move into, where is this coming from? And for me, there's a strong intuitive process that happens as well. So one of my superpowers is being able to feel into the roots very quickly of where it's coming from. Beautiful. And so I may say, this is coming from a place in your childhood. Something happened at a time, and it was with, let's say, your father.
Okay.
And all of a sudden they'll say, oh my God, oh yes, that's the truth. That happened. And we go through that experience. They get in touch with it. And then they realize the correlation. And so then we continue to work through it, because once you get to the root, I look at it so like a tree, right? And here's the tree, and it has all the branches. And so like I was saying initially in the interview, like, so if we collapse one of these, but we don't hit the root, you still have that energy that pushes, something else can trigger it, right?
That's right.
But if you get the root of the tree and the tree comes down, then all those driving issues within you are no longer triggers. Your brain rewires, and it says, okay, it's safe to have these thoughts, these memories, there's nothing to do about them, and it just refiles them in your long-term memory.
Beautiful. Now, you mentioned the word ego a little while ago, and I in my experience, the ego is the one part of ourselves that we create that is the key thing that separates us from our spiritual awareness. How would you describe that or explain that?
That's very interesting. Okay, I call the ego, I say almost like the ego is an accessory that, since we got our upgrade about 40,000 years ago in Paleolithic times, and we got that part of the executive brain functioning, it was almost like, we're going to need to install an ego with that. And I say the ego keeps you safe in your humanity, and that's its function. And so the ego doesn't have judgment per se, just like your thoughts don't have judgment as they're processing. It's you who brings the judgment in, right? Yeah. But so the ego there is kind of like the watchdog. And so the ego will get triggered, just like emotions.
Yeah.
It will get a trigger and it'll say, I'm not safe. This isn't okay. We need to react. So it could be for psychological safety, for a variety of reasons. But once that ego gets triggered, the ego will cause you to behave in ways to manage that experience. And oftentimes it's an unconscious trigger.
Yes.
So it's not your best self. You're not in a conscious state when you're communicating from that place.
That's right. That's right. Our spirituality is something that a lot of people don't either want to explore or understand how to explore when they realize that they need to. And in my experience, spirituality, there's pure love in spirituality. There's no judgment in it. And a lot of people don't understand that judgment is what separates us from our spiritual awareness. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
And are you willing to expand on that for us?
Yes, I think it separates us from ourselves. And ourselves are a spiritual being in a body.
Yes.
Where the body is not, this isn't it. No. I've heard people call it a body bag or whatever, like the body bag that we're living in. I kind of see that a lot, because I feel like you get to have an experience and something that grounds you into this earthly plane. And so you get to act out the experience. And I almost look at this sometimes like as a video game. And I feel like
reality, right?
We're here, and we get all our lives, or these many lives, or whatever, and these tools, and these people will come in and help us through the game, and and you get to this level, and yeah, you've overcome this, and then you get to the next level, that type of thing. So I do think that our spirituality extends way beyond our body. And I think that's thinking of it in terms of the body and putting the body first, I think is short-sighted and a very humanistic way to look at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For me, the way I have come to learn it or live it is that we, as you mentioned before, we are spirits with a body. And we chose to be in this body so that we could understand the contrast between our spiritual oneness. There's full knowledge, there's full experience, there's no time limits when you're in your spiritual self. The body gives us the opposite of that, the contrast of that, so that, for example, when we only have love as an example, we don't understand the power of that love unless we see the opposite. So another example would be, let's just say you have a favorite food, and as a spirit, you would, and only know that favorite food, and you wouldn't know the way. If you always had that favorite food, then slowly it would become less beautiful, because that's the only thing you don't know anything else, and you'd need something lesser or different or the opposite or a contrast in order to actually appreciate that favorite food again. How would you respond to that?
I would say that the contrast is essential for us to live out, if you want to call it a game, play along with me, live out Sure. this game, live out this lifetime. The contrast is essential for a human being. I always find it interesting where people, their goal right now is to try to stay in a state of happiness all the time. Well, there's a reason we have all these emotions, and it's for a full and complete experience.
Yes.
And so because some emotions feel unpleasant to us or are uncomfortable, some of that is programming.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't know what to do with certain emotions. So such as shame and such as anger.
Yep.
We've made it it's unacceptable to feel that way. Now, to behave with your anger running you is different than to feel the anger inside you. And if you can acknowledge the anger inside you, then it doesn't have to come out as a behavior.
That's right. That's right.
And I feel like we're really here to learn.
Physical experience.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would draw the contrast as using anger as an example. Some people say, I am angry. And it's not that you are anger or are angry. It's that you feel angry.
Yeah. They're missing that word. I'm feeling angry.
Yes. And I think
we need to start going back to that. I think people keep shortening things, just like we live in this world now where everything happens in now time. And, I guess you could argue everything is in now time, right? But in a humanistic way, then the true now time doesn't elicit a response to everything. It also allows, here comes a French bulldog head. Sorry.
That's okay. No worries.
There comes some being in that. And so it's allowing for the being in the human being.
That's right.
We need to stop being human doings, and we need to focus on being human beings.
I like that. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, I noticed that you shared a workshop link with me previously. Can you speak to that workshop a little bit?
Yes. Actually, I'm really excited about this workshop because it's a workshop to manage work from home stress. And there's a lot of stressors that everybody's going through.
Yes.
A lot of people thought, oh, this is the ideal. I've always wanted to work from home, and except for it's a very romantic notion when it's all planned out and you have your space and all your equipment and everything you need. But it doesn't necessarily work out when all of a sudden you feel like it's imposed on you in the moment. And now you just have to keep going, but yet there are issues and it's making it uncomfortable for you. And you feel like you can't manage them or deal with all of them. So you're building up levels of stress and feeling like you don't have control of what's happening in your life and in your world. So this is a workshop to help relieve that. I do use tapping. We actually do work through the, some of the issues around working from home, get you on the other side so that you feel empowered to now start working through those issues as opposed to feeling stuck or trapped or.
Beautiful. And in this day and age, the way things have been going with this pandemic and the way people are actually in a place where they're basically quarantined in their homes, that is a very, very apt workshop, and it should help a lot of people. So I just put up your website address, and I'm wondering, I also have the link in the post that I've shared with everybody about this interview. Is there any other way everybody can get a hold of you?
Actually, if you go to my website, there's a contact page, and then you can let me know what it's about. Also on my website, under workshops, there's a couple workshops, but it's the work from home, and it's the initials WFH.
Right.
And that will give you the information about it, and it will give you an email address that you can email in. Let me know the date. It's free. This is a free workshop for everybody who wants to attend. And so there's 3 separate dates, and you can just pick your date with its time, whatever works best for you, depending upon location and your schedule. And you can just email me. I'll send you the information and the link, and you can attend.
Awesome. Awesome. So in all of this, I'm sure there's one thing that is your burning desire to help people do or help people with. What would you describe that as?
I'm going to go back to my values, emotional freedom. For me as a coach, I consider myself like a facilitator. But when I go through a session with someone and they get that moment where all of a sudden the emotional freedom comes in and impact, it's such a beautiful thing to be able to share in. And I value it, and it means so much to me. Awesome. And I would say that is maybe one of the greatest gifts.
Beautiful, beautiful. And of course, that emotional freedom is the one thing that gives us the strength to move forward. And it's a beautiful thing when we have that. And I have one of my clients here sharing with us at the moment, and I'm going to put up the comments that Dana has experienced tap therapy. So that's very awesome, Dana. Thanks for joining us. And she mentions that she feels that tap therapy is almost meditative. And here's a question that she is asking: would you do that workshop for a workplace?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I'm doing this workshop, and I'm inviting individuals into it, and those are the days. And then I am going to also be offering it for companies. And I think it's a great way for a company to experience what I do and what I can bring into a company to make those important shifts in an employee wellness program.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Dana, just so you know, I know you're listening now, just use the website of Tara's, Tara2.0.com, and go there, and you'll be able to contact Tara and get some information and make contact. And there you go. She says, okay, I will reach out. Awesome. Beautiful thing. Is there anything you'd like to add before we break off, Tara?
I just want to say to everybody, I guess with the holidays coming up, the holidays are going to be different.
Yes.
And don't focus on the difference. Focus on the moment. I did a beautiful thing on Thanksgiving where I told everybody that there wasn't that many people, but the people that were in my home, my son, and I said, so what's off the table today is the pandemic, is a virus called COVID, and masks and politics.
There you
and
go.
Give everybody permission to just be and enjoy each other.
Yes.
And I think that's where we need to get, and that's what we need to focus on.
Yeah.
Not the resistance, not what we're not okay with. Focus on what can happen. Allow yourself to feel good.
Yeah. And you notice there that Dana commented that they sent 350 people home in 4 days from her location, and stress is high, and there's lots of people on leave right now. So your workshop and your ability to do that for people from like in a remote circumstance is probably going to be very beneficial for a lot of people. Yeah. So thank you, Dana, for reaching out. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you, Tara, for sharing that powerful experience and insight with us. I really, really appreciate that. And we're getting up on 40 minutes, and that's it's going to be time for everybody to get back to their routine, including you, Tara. So thank you so much for joining us today, Tara. Really, really appreciate it. And you are awesome. Much love, my dear.
Thank you. I love this. Thank you for having me on.
More than welcome. And I'm very, very happy. We'll have to do this again when we get a chance.
Yes, anytime.
Bye.